Hey y'all, welcome to another of our Guitar Vault videos. We're excited to talk about a Yamaha guitar today. We're going to be talking about the Yamaha FSX5. This is part of their Red Label series, which harkens back to some of their iconic and historic instruments as they started into the guitar building process. So, you know some of the history on that, right, Alyssa?
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a history nerd, so let's talk about the history on these guitars a little bit. It goes back to 1966, so about 56 years ago at this point. That is the first year that Yamaha exported guitars out of Japan.
Right.
This was the first iteration of their iconic FG series, which right now is like their FG800s is the more modern version. But this is just the guitar that I think every player has started on. Pretty much your first guitar was an FG series. Sure. They are just fantastic guitars. They're known for their incredible tone and feel. Way back in the 60s, just everybody noticed how great these guitars were. And they were easily identified by a red label on the inside. So now when they've re-released it and kind of reinvented it with the new innovation that they have and all the new knowledge that they've gained from the over 50 years of building these guitars, they call it their red label line to harken back to that iconic red label.
Right, people would look for the red labels knowing that that was the era they were built in, so they'd get the vintage tone. Yamaha guitars were always known for being very value oriented, so what you got for the money was always like big bang for your buck.
Yeah, and that is absolutely still true today. The new Red Label line features all of their classic stylings that they were known for back when they were first released. So you get the classic V-style headstock that you can still identify every Yamaha guitar with today. You also get the semi-gloss vintage tint finish, so you don't need to wait for your guitar to sit out in the sun and get that aged look. It already looks vintage, which is...
Don't leave it in the sun anyway.
Yeah, don't do that anyway, but that is how it got that look. It's got black, black binding on the sides here and also on the rosette, and then it's got a wood look thicker pick guard here to really just round out the kind of traditional classic look.
Yeah, very vintage. Another thing that's very vintage is the actual ebony bridge pins. They're very much stylized. You can kind of get that era specific feel to it.
Yeah, and the tuning machines.
Yeah. Tuning machines are open backed with kind of the vintage knob. Yeah, very, very much a throwback kind of look.
But you're not going to get that throwback kind of build quality and everything.
No, so they've learned a lot over the years. They've changed a lot about bracing and ways to stabilize the woods as well. I think one of the most important things that's affecting the tone on this instrument is based on the things that they've learned. So a lot of companies are doing some aging processes for the wood. Sometimes people are referring it to just baking the wood or whatever, torrefication. But Yamaha's kind of taken everything a step further. So what they learned is the wood structure changes over time as the wood is exposed to the atmosphere, environment, all of that stuff. The main thing that happens is the wood fibers begin to change their structure. You get crystallization of the cellulose and some of the other properties. So what Yamaha's done is develop their ARE process, which stands for Acoustic Resonance Enhancement. And this is the process they use to basically speed up the aging process. So they're actually manipulating the temperature, the humidity, and the atmospheric pressure to create an environment where the wood will attain these properties at the cellular level for the best tone. It's going to give you kind of that vintage response. Those of you who've owned guitars over a period of time realize that over time they become more responsive and the tone becomes not only warmer, but also you get a lot more harmonic content as notes kind of die out and stuff. So along with that, which they've done to the top wood, there's also enhancements to the bracing, both in positioning and scalloping. So they've done some very detailed work on the scalloping so that we're removing weight in the braces where it's not needed, but not affecting the ability to support the string tension on the top.
But it does maintain the vintage bracing pattern. They
Correct.
haven't changed that.
Yeah, that's still specific to. In fact, when you look inside of these, you can even see some of the side braces and stuff that are done exactly the way they were done on the vintage instruments. So it's very much a throwback, but very much there's some modern technology. So as you can see, this one has electronics in it. Basically, amplifying an acoustic guitar is a challenge that has a lot of complexities. So playing into a microphone is a great way to capture the guitar, but it has some disadvantages, especially in a live performance situation. A lot of times we want to be plugged in directly. Everybody's familiar with the under the bridge transducers, and they can sound kind of squawky. You know, a lot of people don't like that sound. So there's a lot of trade-offs. What Yamaha has done is come up with a system that actually uses 3 different transducers with some control for the player, so that you can blend in kind of the best of all the worlds. So basically they have an under the saddle transducer that's going to pick up your string attack and that kind of stuff really, really well. There's another transducer that's a film transducer on the top to capture the resonance of the top woods themselves, and then there's also a microphone. So how they accomplish blending this is they preset the blend between the top transducer and the saddle transducer, and then the user actually, or the player actually, has a mic blend control where they can take that signal of those 2 transducers and blend in as much microphone into that as they would like. So if you're recording, you might want more microphone. If you're playing live, just based on feedback control, you might want less of that. Then of course you'll have a volume control, which is necessary. The other control is very well thought out. It's a single knob EQ control. They call it bass EQ, but it's actually kind of a smart control. So basically at the 12 o'clock position, it's not doing anything. When you turn it to the right, you're boosting, and when you turn it to the left, you're cutting. That's very common for how a peaking EQ works, but the difference in this one is that as you cut, it automatically changes the center frequency of that filter to be more towards the bass side, and when you boost, it shifts it over more towards the mid side. So sometimes, many times, as a sound guy, this is kind of always a challenge. A player doesn't necessarily know how the 3 knob, you know, bass, middle, treble thing is affecting their acoustic guitar, and you end up with a signal at the mixing console that's kind of unusable, and you end up trying to reverse part of what they're doing at the guitar. This gives the player a simple 1 knob control. Most of the time on acoustic guitar, especially in live performance, you're trying to get rid of that low frequency resonance, and you can just cut this back. Or if you're trying to cut through, you can boost out a little bit, but it's not going to be also boosting the low frequencies that are a problem. So I think this is a very smart control. If you're in a more detailed situation, you're probably going to do any EQing with a more powerful parametric EQ or something like that. So this gives the player easy access and a very powerful control. So I think it's one of the better electronic systems put in an acoustic guitar, and it sounds absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, can't help playing.
Yeah. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to drop a thumbs up and a comment, and we will see you next time.